we started in last lesson about holding clearance. Okay, so I just want to give some examples for uh, a holding clearance that we can use when the controller wants to issue any clearance to the aircraft for holding. And in last lesson, you can see in last lesson I introduced about three ways to issue a clearance relating to holding clearance. You can see number one is used for the position which has no procedure for holding. And in the end of the lesson, in the last lesson, I just explain a little bit about this. And in fact, it is rarely to use because it had no procedure. However, it is also used for IFR and VFR for both type of flight. However, IFR is rarely used, and we usually use the type of phraseology 2 and 4. And here you can see is an example for holding clearance. Okay, and I give you an example when the ATC want to clear an aircraft to hold over unfortunately. You can say Vietnam, for example, Vietnam 123 to proceed to unfortunately and hold with the information like inbound track. And the inbound track of the holding point unfortunately is 257 with right hand pattern and about time 1 minute. And you have to say the time to give further instruction. And I just give you an example at expect further instruction at 1522. Or you can say Vietnam 123 hold over unfortunately with given information. In short, you can also say Vietnam 123 proceed to unfortunately and hold over unfortunately as publics, because in fact the pilot has to know about the procedure to the information to hold over significant point because it is public in AIP. Okay. So I just want to tell you more about, I want to give you an example so that you can understand clearly about this clearance, and you can also, and you can easily use in when you need to practice in simulation in near future. Okay. Yes, okay, so uh, after this example, if you don't have any confused, if you don't have any confusion or any question, I will continue to introduce about the lesson today. Okay, so do you have any question for this type of clearance? And I think when you can when you can apply this in practicing, you can easily remember it. Okay, so I will continue to introduce about the lesson today. Okay, so you can see at my slide. The lesson today is about Unit 10 with the topic fuel. Okay, so it is like it is not a strange topic for you guys, and we have already know that fuel is put into the wings of the aircraft. Okay, and we also have the balance between two wings, the fuel balance between two wings. And in fact, before taking off, the fuel is put into the wing through a fuel tank with uh, through fuel hoses. And you can see in the picture in the left, sorry, in the right, you can see it is the time that the fuel is put into the wings. And after putting the fuel to the wing, after the fuel hoses are removed, the employees need to check it by their hand, like when you check the oil in your car. And if there is any mistake due to these phases, it can lead to many serious problems afterwards. So procedures is this procedure is like needs to be strictly checked. Okay, and before going to the general knowledge about fuel, I want to introduce some knowledge about this subject background. And we have something related to fuel consumption and environmental issues. Um, However, I think the knowledge relating to environmental issues, I will introduce in the section 1 of the topic fuel. Okay, so in this background, I just mention a little bit about fuel consumption. And with the knowledge relating to fuel consumption, you made I want to introduce about that fuel consumption will depend on the type of the aircraft being flown, the payload, including the weight of passengers, bags, or cargo, and also the weight of the fuel itself. However, the pilot or the flight dispatcher must add a certain reserve to cope with unexpected circumstances. Okay, so they have to calculate so that they can put more fuel into the wings of the aircraft. And the second knowledge that I want to introduce is about fuel dumping. I think most of you have know about this concept. And in some cases, in fact, in some cases where the aircraft have to return to departure airport until they just take off for a short time, so the pilots may have to dump fuel. And because you know that because you have known through the through unit 9 that I introduced, the overweight landing can be a safety hazard. And at those times, ATC will then direct them to a pre-designated area for fuel dumping. And you can see in the picture, it is the time that an aircraft is dumping fuel so that it can have the safety way to land. It can have a safe way to land. And finally, it is about the fuel leak. Fuel leak is like when there is a leakage of fuel and this can lead to the situation when the aircraft running out of fuel. So it is so dangerous problem. It is a dangerous problem. Okay, so and in this subject background, I want to distinguish between fuel dumping and aerodynamic control. I think this phenomena you can easily see in the sky. So do you know the difference between fuel dumping and aerodynamic control? So class, do you know the difference? Do you know the difference between fuel dumping and aerodynamic control? So it is the same or it is different? Yes. Okay. So uh, can you explain more about fuel dumps come from two discrete points, not the entire wing? Okay. Anything else? So it is the same or is it different? And which situation is easily happened? Okay, so any opinion, anything, anything that you want to share about the two phenomena? Sorry, about fuel timing and aerodynamic control. Okay, so uh, you can see between two pictures. The one picture in the right hand is fuel dumping. The picture with two flows, okay, it is fuel dumping. And the picture in the left is fuel dumping, and in the right is um, aerodynamic control. Okay, and I want to explain. Yes, I want to explain a little bit about um, the two situations. Okay, so fuel dumping is so rare. It is just happen in some emergency cases, and it can occur at any level, any altitude. Okay, it is about fuel dumping. It is rarely happen. Yes, you are right. Lut is right. Aerodynamic control is only just happens at high altitude. It is about 10, I remember that it is about 10,000 meters or above, and it is the control. The control is produced by the passage of airplane and its engine, like Gong said, and it is due to the difference between temperature, and it can cause the shin shaft um, downward from the engine and the wings. And you can see uh, about the fuel dumping. It has only two flows, and in the aerodynamic control, there are more than two flows. So it's the main difference between them. Okay. So the phenomena that you usually see in the sky, it is aerodynamic control, not the fuel dumping. Okay, so now we can continue to we can move on to the general knowledge about this unit, and you can open the book to see. We have three sections relating to this unit. The section one is about aviation and global warming. That is about environmental issues that I want to introduce. And section one and section one and section two is Gimli glider, and it is like um an incident due to running out of fuel, and I will explain more after when we moving on to this section. And section 3 about fuel icing, uh, we we might study in next lesson in next week. Okay, so about section 1, aviation and global warming. It is about the aviation and climate change, and you can also you can find out and read more in the briefing of Ban Ki-moon in this to this link. Okay. Okay, so now you can open the book at page 80 and try to do the exercise 1. I think it is an easy exercise. You just try to make locations relating to global warming. So maybe I will call a volunteer to answer it right now. Yes, a lot of people. Yes. Okay, so um,